The guest speaker that's coming up, Chrissy Anderson, in a few moments, is the former editor of Wired magazine, and he left Wired to focus on his UAV manufacturing company using some extraordinary technology with 3D robotics. So I'm not going to waste a lot of time. He has an exciting program. Let's give a warm welcome to Chris Anderson.
I want to tell you a little bit about sort of my own, why I'm here, how I got into this, where I think it's going, and how what looks like a hobby today may be a massive industry in America, and the sky could be dark with these things, what the commercial applications might be, where the technology is taking it, and why I quit my job of being editor of Wired last month to make this my full-time gig. Just let me just start with my own kind of personal story. 5 years ago, I have 5 children, ages 4 to 15. And I'm constantly trying to get them interested in science and technology. And just failing and failing and failing again. And then Lego came out with Mindstorms 2.0. And they sent me an early copy, and I decided to do something with it. And so we built the traditional 3-wheel tribots, and the children were unimpressed. And then we built the walking thing, and they were unimpressed. It turns out that it's very hard to impress children with robots, because they've seen Transformers. And what Hollywood can do with CG is actually, impossible in the real world. So I could not think of any way to get them interested in Lego Mindstorms. And then meanwhile, somebody had given us this radio controlled plane, and we didn't know anything about RC, and we took it out in the field, and we flew into a tree. And they were also unimpressed by that. So I thought, what might impress the kids? What might interest them? And I thought, what if the Lego could fly the plane? And so we came home on the dining room table, and there you have, 5 years ago, the world's first Lego Autopilot. That is those little sensors, and it comes in Mindstorms, are really cool. They've got gyros and accelerometers and magnetometers and Bluetooth that allow you to connect with GPS. And so I knew nothing about this. I could barely spell Autopilot. But I did know that, if I Googled around a little bit, I'd find out enough to put this together. So that is a Lego Autopilot. And we put it in a plane, and it actually worked. And this is now the world's first Lego unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV. It's in the Lego Museum in Billund. I would say that it did, when I say it worked, what I mean is that it's still in one piece. It was a pretty terrible UAV. It turns out that for various reasons, Lego's a little bit big, it's a little expensive, it doesn't have the right resolution on the sensors and all this kind of stuff. However, that was the beginning of my sort of journey into what led me here. The children, by the way, lost interest like 10 minutes later. And I went right down the rabbit hole. And I started just looking around to see what was available. And there really, there wasn't much. There were commercial autopilots that were like $5,000, $10,000. But there really wasn't very much that seemed accessible. And it's like, how is it possible that I know nothing about this, and my kids and I put together a Lego Autopilot, and yet you can't find one out there for, for $100 or $200 or that sort of thing. So because I'm a web guy, I kind of grew up and tend to do things online. I said, well, clearly I've got a lot to learn. If I'm going to learn, I might as well learn in public. So this is this notion of share your ignorance. So I just created a website called DOI Drones, and I started sort of being stupid in public. I asked dumb questions. I would find things that everybody else already knew about but were new to me. And it turns out a lot of other people were interested. And today we do more than 2 million page views a month, 33,000 registered members, et cetera. So it's actually become one of the biggest robotics communities in the world, all because a lot of people were thinking about the same thing at the same time. Why is it happening now? Why is it 5 years ago? 6 years ago, I could find nothing. Now there's tons out there, but what triggered this? And the answer is in your pocket. What's triggered this sort of notion of personal UAVs is the smartphone revolution. In your pocket, if you have an iPhone or an Android or any kind of smartphone, is the fastest accelerating technology the world has ever seen. What's going on here, inside your phone are sensors. They're called MEM sensors, microelectronic mechanical devices, but they're basically chips that are gyros and accelerometers and magnetometers and GPS, et cetera. But these chips do functions that used to be mechanical, $1,000 military things before. A gyro used to be like this. You'd have to takes 2 hands to hold it. And now you get gyros, accelerometers, and magnetometers, all 3 of them each. So 9 sensors in total on a chip the size of your finger. That's what the Apples and the Googles are doing, and what's going on with ARM processors and GPS and cameras and memory and wireless. All this stuff has incredible application outside of phones. And our discovery was these make for great autopilots. So if you look at this happens to be one of our autopilots here, APM, but when you look at it, it's basically just smartphone components laid out in a different way using different software. And that, to first degree of approximation, with the right app, you could fly a 747 with your phone. Oh, not very well, and I wouldn't recommend it, but you basically have what you need to do a flying robot in your pocket already. And because of the economies of scale of the Googles and the Apples of the world, these things are falling in price and increasing in power at a rate we've never seen in history. So all those quadcopters you see out there, those weren't possible 10 years ago. And now they cost like 30 bucks. That's all because of the spin-off technologies of basically the mobile revolution. And that's why it just so happened that 5 years ago was the right time to get started. So we got started with our own autopilots, and again, we knew very little about this, but we in the community, it's an open source community, we just started combining ideas, and we came up with the first one. It's based on the Arduino open source platform. And we just started putting these chips on, and this was our first autopilot. And today they look like this. And these are a little box that you put in any RC vehicle, and it turns it into a fully autonomous drone. You can put it in an airplane, you can put it in a multicopter of any sort, you can put it in a traditional helicopter, you can put it in a car, you can put it in a boat, you can probably put it in a submarine. We have not yet tried that. But the notion of a universal autopilot is really what we set out to do. And when I say we, I mean a community of thousands. This is created by largely volunteers online. The company I've just joined does the manufacturing. We have pick and place lines and CNCs and big factories. But fundamentally, the code, all the smart stuff, is created by people just like you. Just people on the community whose day job is, some of them work for Google and Apple and Microsoft and IBM, and some of them work for banks in Japan and advertising agencies in Brazil, or they work in a grocery store. But this is their passion, and because there's so many of them and there's a place for them all to contribute, they collectively have done something that was essentially 10 years ago kind of a Boeing, Lockheed kind of technology, military industrial stuff that cost tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars, is now basically a little plastic box that you can buy for 170 bucks that is open and can turn anything into a mobile robot. That's the power of the web's innovation model, that's the power of the smartphones technology platforms, and that's what's possible today, and that's why I'm here, because it was just kind of mind-blowing. Like, not often in my life do I say, holy crap, is that possible? Could I do that? And this was just one of those things, but around the dining room table with my children, I had one of those kind of jaw-dropping moments. This is sort of what they look like on the inside. This is one of our latest ones. This is done with the ETH, which is a Swiss university, is our partner. This is designed to be put in an AR drone and turn the AR drone into a real drone. And it's just, that level of systems integration, what you're seeing there, that's being done by a team of 26-year-olds who, literally 3 years ago, had a soldering iron on a dining room table, and now they're running these robotic manufacturing facilities. How is it possible that these kids, who are all, by the way, from Tijuana, Mexico, how is it possible that they're producing this kind of electronics? And the answer is, it's really getting easy to do manufacturing right now. They basically went on eBay, they searched for a pick and place machine, they found a used one, they downloaded the manual from Google, and now we're running ISO 9001, production lines, and none of them, my co-founder, Jordan Munoz, hasn't been to college yet. And this is just what's so exciting about this moment, that the web has allowed hard things to become easy, and people who know nothing to get really smart really fast, and for communities to come together to do the kind of stuff that it used to take massive aerospace companies to do before.